All right, let's talk about hot lap. So this is gonna be first lap. Second could work, but first I think you get up to speed enough, and I like the amount of grip that you have on first lap. So as we are going into the turn one corner here, it's just full throttle. No need to really worry about getting off the throttle on your out lap. Just kind of keep the car about a lane off the wall. It's going to start sliding up if you get too high up. So this like kind of the middle down here really works, and you can just use your wheel to get through the corner. Try not to get the right rear to slip, obviously. If you've watched any of my videos, that's usually a very common theme on these out laps. So I just slowly bring it up to the wall, make sure that I'm not sliding the right rear, losing momentum. And then as we're coming to the start finish line, I'm going to do a late dive down to the apron because I want to make a straight line through this apron part here. Straight as possible, but I want to be up on the track by the time that this yellow line, you see how the yellow line kind of curves all at once right here? That's about when I want to come back up on the track because I'm going to get right by the wall, and right as I get right by the wall, I'm going to turn into the corner. So 1 and 2, you can full throttle. You can probably even take it a little shallower than I did, but because this carries our speed for a long time, I do like that little bit of an arc. So turn in around the Z max, and then come down to the yellow line, just gradually. No need to hurry. Just take your time getting down the yellow, and then once you're down there, kind of keep it down there without adding too much wheel and scrubbing your tires, and then let the car slide up all the way back up to the wall. Not much to it, as you can see. Full throttle. It's going to feel easy enough. You'll get it within a couple times, but the real corner here is 3 and 4. So 3 and 4, you like to see, you see that I'm doing a quick grip flick. What's a grip flick? If you haven't seen those type of videos before, it's where I point the car before I get off the gas and start turning into the corner. So think of it as you want to point the car, then turn the car. So what you see, I got a quick point around, again, the Z-Max. Point back to kind of neutral and then start turning in. But I get off the throttle to about 30-40% the second time I'm turning in. So the first time is just to point and the second time is to turn. I couldn't figure out whether I liked having my lefts on this patch or the yellow better. It was a little bit faster on this patch. The yellow felt like I could have done just as good if I really wanted to, but also being a little bit higher is a little easier. So I recommend being up in this lane right here, left side on this little patch right here. If you think you can go a little bit lower and not lose your right rear, your momentum, all of that stuff, then you can maybe try the very bottom. But it's pretty easy. Again, you go full throttle, half throttle, or sorry, about a third as you're turning in. And then once you make it to your line, you go back to full throttle. And then you just hold as much wheel as you possibly can without scrubbing your right rear. You'll kind of feel it a little bit, like it's about to step out, but not really. So you want to hold it right on the edge of about to step out or kind of lock up. So you know how sometimes when you turn the wheel too much, your right front almost feels like it's locking up because of the tightness. You want to hold it on the edge of that. Just get as much turn as possible. And then you'll start sliding up the track on your own. And if you entered everything correctly, then you'll be able to just comfortably unload it as you get by the wall. And then again, we bring it back down to the apron and do that little cut again. Don't zero extra lap with the grass there. And it should be a pretty good lap. All right, now let's take a look at long run. All right, let's talk about long run here. So what we saw is probably going to be the line for at least a bit, but as we've been seeing, the lines really do start to move around because of this dynamic track thing. So it's pretty cool. So I just want to go over a bit on what you want to look for with each of these lines. With 1 and 2, this really should not be a problem, full throttle, for a while. Now, you don't need to be full throttle to be fast, right? And I'll show it next time around, but if you are having to slide tires, use extra wheel input to keep it full throttle, then it's not worth being full throttle. And then 3 and 4, it's all about turning in early enough, regardless of what line that you have, turning in early enough and correlating that with being a little bit off the throttle, maybe to about that 40% mark. And as we go along, there may be a little tiny brake drags later in the run, but don't even consider that until you are completely off the throttle for a corner. So I do like the little blips on the throttle on entry for at least turn 1 because it keeps the car a little bit more stable. Now you see how my goal with Kentucky turn 3 is to get to the bottom, and I didn't really do that there, but I didn't want to like overreact and burn the tires. but you want to turn down to turn 3 early because there's kind of no point in arcing it into the corner. I call this the Larry line after Larry Pace, but because I basically copied this line from him in ARCA, and it really works in a lot of cars as well, especially if you don't have any handling problems. You enter shallow, let off the gas early, and then you just kind of drive the car straight back up the track. I might have missed a little bit there, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to do. And what the whole point of that is that I'm basically not turning the wheel for the entire corner, or at least not as much as I would be. Let's try that here. I'm sure on these newer tires, there's no reason to be up here. If you find yourself pedaling the throttle a lot on the bottom of 1 and 2, that's when you would start wanting to be up there in 3 and 4. You might be able to get away with up top in 3 and 4 as well. But you see that there's not really any grip, so we just slide kind of up to the wall. So that doesn't really work. So it depends on what the track is feeling like, but getting to the very bottom in 3 and 4 really seems to be the way to go for me. Alright. But yeah, this line down here, full throttle, a little bit of an arc, not too much pressure on the throttle, not too much tire wear, should be fine. Then 3 and 4, this is the skill corner. You let off a little bit early, bring it down to about half throttle, let it roll a little bit on the yellow line, and then drive it straight up the track. It's not too bad. This is definitely going to be a right front burner, but it's not going to be too bad because the car handles neutral for the most of the corner, but it definitely won't get loose. That's what I'm feeling, is I'm not feeling like any sense of looseness. The line here I'm feeling like could be a dominant line. If there is a dominant line, the track might not get as dynamic as you're used to getting it, just because of the angle of turn 3. 1 and 2, you might have to move up a lane to stay at that full throttle because it might get slick and slippery down there. But even if you have to move up to the second lane, so let's say I have to move up to the second lane here, just pretend that the second lane is the first lane and do the same exact thing. I mean, it's really not the biggest deal in the world. 3 and 4, if that starts getting really slick, start arcing your corner a little bit more. So like start a little higher and then arc it down into that yellow line right here so that you don't have to get all of your turn from when it's super slick down there on entry. Okay, let's go check tires. I have a feeling it's either going to be completely even or burn some right front because that car was feeling pretty tight for a lot of that. Okay. Yeah, 96, 96, so it's even. If the car is feeling excessively tight, then you might need to back down your entries a little bit, but other than that, it should be good to go. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.